Hello and welcome to the Chief Architect Quick Tip video. Today we will be covering how to create different ceiling styles in Chief Architect Premiere. On my screen I have some different ceiling styles that I've done, and to make an image like this I've simply taken this room and created the different ceiling styles and did a ray trace of that scene and then copied those images into a slide so I can use it in this presentation. And you can use a slide like this in your presentations as well. Chief Architect becomes a very powerful sales tool when you can use renderings like this to communicate your design ideas to your client. Many times your clients can't visualize. It will help you sell more jobs by differentiating yourself from your competitors. And you can also use rendering options like this to help upsell your jobs. When the client can visualize how a coffered ceiling looks, or a crown molding, or perhaps a vaulted ceiling, it becomes a very powerful sales tool to sell or upsell your job. So let's go ahead and get started with our design in Chief Architect. I'm going to go up here and close down this slide, and we have Chief Architect open already here. I'm going to begin by just selecting our exterior wall tool. I'm very quickly just going to drag out a basic shape of what's perhaps an addition. And after I connect those walls, I'm going to click on this and put in a dimension. Let's call it 32 feet. And we'll call it 18 feet. So we have our dimensions put in. We get a living area calculated and the square footage of that. And I'm quickly going to drop in some doors. So I have a default door style already set up here. And I'm going to put a door right here and perhaps another door over on this side. And we'll put a door on this as well. And of course I could dimension these in, but for the purposes of this presentation we'll just go ahead and stay with those. We can reverse our swing on that if we'd like to. I'll just pull the swing back out so it opens into the room. And the next thing I like to do is quickly add a roof on. So I'm going to go to our roof tools, and we're going to automatically build a roof. And in this dialog you'll notice that we have a pitch of 8 and 12 right here. So we're going to build our roof planes and click OK. And actually I'm going to add on our auto rebuild roof. Click OK. And it's asking us if we want to display the roof layer. I'm going to say no, we don't need to see our roof planes here. And I'm going to do a quick 3D view just so you can see what this looks like. This is a 3D overview of our project. So we have a hip style roof that's been generated, and what I want to do is change this over to a gable style roof. So I'm going to select this exterior wall here, and I'm going to toggle that over to a gable, and we're going to rotate around and select this wall and toggle that to a gable as well. Okay, so I'm going to close that 3D view down. And next I'm going to take an interior view of this. So this is a slightly different camera. It's called our full camera. And with this camera we just click and drag in the direction we look inside the room, and that's going to generate another three-dimensional view for us. Now the view that we have here is of a basic room. Perhaps this is a bump out addition that we're doing for a living space. And if we can add detail into a room, it really helps the client to visualize what a room is going to look like. This is a little bit outside the scope of our presentation on ceiling, but I think it's worth noting in this presentation that if we add some furniture and some things in the room, that the client gets a better feel for what the room is going to look like. So with that in mind, I'm going to split my screen. We're going to go up to the window and tile vertically. We can do that by hitting Shift F6 on the keyboard. I'll do that in the future. And we'll adjust our 3D view here a little bit. And what I'm going to do, we'll zoom in on our room, is I have a pre-configured room over here with furniture. I'm going to click on that and drop that into our plan. And once it's been put down, I'm going to adjust its position in the room by pulling that over here. That looks about right. Drop it down a tad bit. Okay. So now we have a fireplace put in, some pictures, some furniture, and the client's going to get a much better idea of what the room might look like with their things in there. Okay. So we have a very basic ceiling structure, just a flat ceiling, and we could start now to experiment with what the different ceilings might look like. So the first thing we can do is to create a very quick vault ceiling. We can click inside the room. So if I in my select objects mode, let's edit that out. So if we're in the select objects mode, we can click inside this room and you'll notice it highlights the room, and if we double click, it opens up the room specification dialog box. And under our structure tab, we have the ability to remove the ceiling over the room. So if I uncheck that and click OK, we're instantly going to get a vault ceiling. Now the ceiling that we get is just following the rafters above. So I'm going to pull a new camera view just so I can illustrate this to you. And again, this is nice with a client because they may not understand what it looks like when you have your ceiling following rafters above. So here's the ceiling plane that's following our framing above. And some of the issues we run into, and you can graphically show this to your client, that we have trouble perhaps meeting the insulation requirements that are now in attic spaces of R30 or what have you. So what we might do here is have a truss situation, maybe with a scissor truss, and a lower pitch ceiling inside the space than what is above. We know that this was an 8 and 12 pitch for the roof. Okay, so we're going to show you how we can create that lower roof plane, and I'm going to keep this view on our screen here so that you can see it. Just move that over a little bit. We'll zoom out some. And we're going to go into our roof tools, and under our roof tools we have a ceiling plane tool. Now this tool works very much like the manual roof planes do. So I can just drag over a ceiling plane, and we're going to go ahead and turn off our automatic roofs here. So we'll say yes to that message, and I'm going to pull that ceiling plane out. And you won't notice much difference that's going on here because the ceiling plane, if we open it up, we'll notice that the pitch is 8 and 12. So we really want to change that to perhaps, let's call it 4 and 12, and click OK. So now we see that ceiling plane has been dropped in at a lower pitch. So what we can do is grab that and drag it over. We'll just snap that right into place. And now that we have it set, we're going to copy it. So with it selected, we're going to go down to the bottom, do a copy, and Reflect About is a secondary edit tool. Click on that, come up here and reflect it about the center of the room, and now we have that ceiling plane matched on the other side. And with that selected, we can click on this ceiling plane edge, join it with this ceiling plane edge, and click again, and that's going to mend those two ceiling planes together. And now we can see that we have this lowered condition, and we have room up here in our attic for some insulation. And if we move over here, we can see that we have that in a 3D view in terms of that vault ceiling. Okay, so what else can we do with the ceiling planes that we've done? Well, another option we can demonstrate or give to the client is perhaps a barrel ceiling. So to enable that, let's move our graphic here over, and I'm going to select these two ceiling planes. I'm going to group select them by holding the Shift or Control key down, and we're going to go to the bottom where our edit tools are and click to open that. And this is the specification for our ceiling planes that we have selected. I'm going to lower the pitch slightly to a 3 and 12, and we're going to specify a curve for these ceiling planes. And what we want to do is, for that curve, we want the angle at the ridge to be 0 degrees. So we're changing that to 0, and what that means is at the ridge, this angle right here is going to be essentially 0 or flat, so that we get a nice arc that goes from one side to the other. So with that done, I'm just going to click OK, and now we get that regenerated into a nice arc here. And if we move that over, we can see that barrel ceiling condition, so we can help the client visualize that this is probably going to be a pretty expensive ceiling to do. Is it worth it? They can see what it might look like in their space and make an educated decision on that. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to close that view down, and with these selected, I'm simply going to delete them, because we're going to move on to some other ceiling styles, which is a flat ceiling and then adding some crown molding. And then I'm going to bring my slide over here real quick. We're going to take a look at a flat ceiling. We're going to look with crown molding. We're going to look at a tray ceiling, and then we're going to show you how to do a coffer next. Okay. So with these ceiling planes deleted, we're back with our standard vault that follows the roof above. So we're going to supply the ceiling again. So we're just clicking in that room, and we're going to say there is a ceiling over this room, and click OK. So now in our 3D view you can see our ceiling again. And to add crown molding into a room, very easy to do in Chief Architect. Again, we can double click on that same room and go into the moldings, remove the default and add a new molding. And we're going to go in and choose a Chief Architect molding. There are many hundreds of moldings to choose from, including manufacturer specific moldings. We're going to select our crown molding, and perhaps I'll select this crown, click OK. I'm going to change its height to 6 and the width to 6 as well, and its position at 107 5/8 will be fine. It's all automatically calculated that, and we'll click OK. So very quickly we have the crown molding that wraps around. So this is a great way to help your client visualize that, hey, crown molding isn't a very expensive upsell, but boy, it sure dresses up a flat ceiling quite a bit. So the next thing we might have a look at is a tray ceiling. Now there's a couple of ways that we can deal with tray ceilings and to deal with coffered ceilings. So we're going to cover both of those today. So the first way to do it is using our soffit tool, and the soffit tool is located under our cabinet tools. Right here we see soffit, and if we click on that and come down here, you'll notice that in our 3D view that we've added a soffit down that's lowered, and we can double click on the soffit and specify whether crown molding is included there. We can specify the depth and the height and so on. So we already have the settings we'd like, including a crown molding on the soffit. So once we click that soffit down, we can grab it and stretch it out. We can make that a little bit wider if we like. And let's go ahead and drop another soffit down here, and you can see from this view a little bit better that crown molding wrapping right around that. So again, we can just grab it and drag it right out to our room. We'll do another soffit over here, and we'll click and drag that out. So pretty quick you can see how we can get to a tray ceiling for this room using the soffit tools. And then we can start splitting this up with soffits and get to a tray ceiling as well, or I'm sorry, a coffered ceiling as well. So let's delete these, and we're going to show you another way to create this condition. Just going to grab that soffit and delete it. And what I'm going to do is come up here, and we're going to show you a different way to create a tray and a coffered ceiling. So I'm going to select our slab tool, and I'm going to drop a slab right in front of this camera so we can see it. And in our 3D view, I'm going to take our eyedropper tool and pull up the color from our ceiling, and without having the blend color with materials, I'm going to paint that onto that slab. And once the slab's painted, I'm going to double click on it and make this thickness 6 inches and the elevation at the top to 108, because I know that's the height of my ceiling. We'll click OK. So now we see it on our ceiling, and once it's there, we're going to get into our 2D view and just grab that and drag it out and snap it into place. So I'm just grabbing these edit handles, pulling them up and snapping them right into the side of our walls. Okay, so now we have a 6-inch slab that's lowered our ceiling here, and the next thing we want to do is cut a hole in that slab that enables us to create our tray and then eventually our coffer. So with this slab already selected, I'm going to go down to our edit tools and copy and paste it in place. And I'm going to go up to my corner, and holding the C key button down, the letter C, it's going to concentrically make that move. So I can pull that out and kind of dimension wherever I'd like that to be. That looks pretty good to me. I'll release my mouse. So that has made a copy of that and placed it in place. And with it selected already, I'm going to open it again, and we're going to tell the program this is a hole in the slab, that it isn't actually a slab. So it's just going to create a hole in it in the shape of that. So we'll click OK. So now you can see it's made a hole in that for the shape that I've done. So now what I'm going to do is to add our crown in, we're going to select the room. So I've got the room selected. We're going to go over here and open, or I'm sorry, we're not going to open, we're going to create a room molding polyline rather. So with that edit button and the room selected, I get a dialog that says, well, what molding do you want to use? Well, we're going to use this molding that we already have specified for the room, and we're going to accept the default placement of that and simply click OK. And once that's been done, I can then grab that molding polyline, pull it in, and we're going to snap that right to where that hole in the slab that we created is. And I'm getting visual indicators that snap it, so it's very easy for me to do that. So it snaps into place, and here we can see that nice molding for our tray ceiling. So this took a little bit more time than what would have been to create this tray ceiling with our soffit tool. But the reason I like this method is that to make our coffered option using this method, it becomes easier to replicate and really makes a nice looking ceiling. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So now that I've moved that, I'm going to grab or select our hole in the ceiling. So we're just going to grab that, and we're going to maybe dimension that to 7 feet. And with that selected here, I'm going to try and grab this end, and we're going to dimension that to, let's call it 4 feet. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And now I can grab, you'll notice that there is crown here because I haven't changed these edges, the location of those edges, but there won't be crown on these sides. So I need to grab this molding that I created, pull it over, snap that into place, grab this one, pull it down, and let that snap into place. So now that I have my molding all the way around that. So now that we've got that done, we're going to highlight and multiple select the hole that we've done as well as the molding, and we're going to copy it and reflect it about the center of the room. And with that selected, we're going to copy it, paste it in place, and pull that copy out to the middle. And then perhaps to precisely locate that, we'll use our center objects and center it in the room. Okay, so now we have our nice 3 coffer, and now we can go ahead and multiple replicate all 3 of these. So now I'm going to select all 3, and I'm going to go down to the bottom and do a multiple copy, and I'm going to set the interval of the multiple copy, and we're going to do that to 9 feet because I know the width of it's 7. I want them to be 2 feet apart, so we'll call 9 feet or 108 inches, and we'll click OK. Now that I've set that interval, I can just drag that across, and now I get my multiple replication of that across. So now you can see, well, wow, this is pretty amazing how quickly we can get the coffered situation going. So now that we have our coffered situation, well, perhaps we want to make the coffer stand out. We can pull up our wall color, add it up here into the coffer, makes that stand out a little bit. We can even go into our electrical tools and grab some lights and start to add some lighting into our coffered area. So I'm going to go up here and let's expand this 3D view that we have. And I'm just going to rearrange our view a little bit. Just move it over. So we've completed our coffer ceiling design, and this turns out to be a nice upgrade option in terms of for the person selling a job. It would be a pretty good upsell in terms of money, and also pretty nice to improve the look of the room, and perhaps the client is willing to pay the additional for that upsell. Chief Architect comes with a number of rendering options. The rendering option that we have on our screen right now, this is really the lowest quality in terms of a render. It's pretty well instant when you click on the view. If we go up top here, we have a number of different rendering options. One of them is a vector view. I like to use this vector view. Sometimes it will bring out the detail of a molding a little bit better. So you can scroll through the different rendering options that we have up top to get what might fit best for your job. We can also do a ray trace rendering, and the slide that we saw at the beginning, this is a ray trace, and you'll notice that we have shadows and lighting coming in through our windows, and you'll see reflections coming from reflective surfaces, like this mirror is picking up the reflection of this here, and if you have any glass or shiny surfaces, you can tell this tabletop's a little bit shiny here. So that really brings in a lot of realism into your renderings. So each scene that you create, you can ray trace those scenes and save those images out and create your own slides like this for your portfolio. So we've had a look at a number of different ceiling styles today, and of course there's many more options that you can explore to help communicate with your clients and to help you sell more jobs, differentiate yourself from your competitors, as well as perhaps upsell to your clients. And I've had a lot of fun putting this together. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'd be happy to see you in a future quick tip. If you have any questions at all, feel free to give us a call, or you can visit us on our website at chiefarchitect.com. And if you're new to Chief Architect investigating the software, we do have a free trial version that you can download at our website, and you can explore some of what Chief Architect can do there. So thanks again, and we'll see you soon.